Hey, what is up guys, and welcome to the final video in our procrastination mini-series. Over the course of the past couple of videos, we have dug into the science behind procrastination, talked about what you can do step by step to stop procrastinating when you find yourself doing it in the moment, and that leaves us with one final question, which is, if you are a chronic procrastinator, if you find yourself putting things off again and again, how do you stop that process? How do you stop that cycle? And this was really the question that led me to do this series in the first place, because as I alluded to in the previous video, I have been a chronic procrastinator for quite some time. In fact, every video I have put out on this YouTube channel over the past 3 or 4 years has always been done kind of last minute. And this honestly goes back even further than my YouTube career. It goes back into high school and middle school. I was the kid who would come to school at 6 a.m. the day homework was due, and I would do it in the cafeteria before school started. And I was always proud of this, and I think that sort of built the foundation for my chronic procrastination later in life. So I dug into the reasons for my own procrastination, and I ended up finding some common themes that I think a lot of you are going to identify with, which is gonna form kind of the meat of most of this video. And then we're gonna get into one final tip that I think everyone needs to implement, no matter what the specific causes are that they're dealing with. But the first thing that I wanna mention here is that I think self-awareness is a hugely important aspect in becoming less of a procrastinator, because everyone has particular reasons for why they tend to put things off. Yes, in the science video, we talked about some of the most common causes, and I think those are going to be kind of universal across the board, but everyone has their own specific demons. Everyone has something that causes them to put things off, and that's going to affect them more than it might affect someone else. So before I dig into my reasons for procrastination, which I do think a lot of you are going to identify with, I just want to put this out there. Observe your own behavior. Observe the decisions you make and why you make them, both emotional short-term decisions, but also long-term decisions as well. Once you get into the habit of doing this, you can start to identify some of the underlying causes for why you do things that you don't want to do, such as procrastinating on your work. So as I mentioned, I'm gonna go over 4 big causes for my own procrastination in this video, starting with the first one, which is that I am often overwhelmed with everything that I have to do. And this causes me to basically become paralyzed. I have this analysis paralysis because I'm aware of the huge amount of things on my plate, all the projects that are currently going on, and it makes it very difficult to focus in on the one task I need to do. But of course, to get over procrastination, that is exactly what I need to do. I need to basically put everything out of my mind except for the one thing that needs to be focused on at this moment. And to drive that point home, I want to share one of my favorite quotes from the book Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Do not let the panorama of your life oppress you. Do not dwell on all the various troubles which may have occurred in the past or may occur in the future. Just ask yourself in each instance of the present, what is there in this work which I cannot endure or support? You will be ashamed to make any such confession. Then remind yourself that it is neither the future nor the past which weighs on you, but always the present. And the present burden reduces if only you can isolate it and accuse your mind of weakness if it cannot hold against something thus stripped bare. When we let the sum total of everything we need to do occupy our attention, then the weight of it all can become unbearable, and that's how we get paralyzed. That's how we put things off. So by sitting down and getting clear on exactly what needs to be done in the present moment, maybe by writing it down on a piece of paper and putting everything out of our attention except that one thing, we can easily move forward. Because in almost all instances, if you get clear enough, if you make it actionable enough, it's easy to do, or at least the path is clear. Secondly, I need to let go of the belief that procrastination is actually a good thing. And I think this is something that is not unique to me. In fact, in the book A Mind for Numbers by Barbara Oakley, she talks about how this is something that can become a pattern of behavior. You can start to almost brag about how you were able to get things done even though you procrastinated. And in my case, I start to attribute positive aspects to the act of procrastination itself, such as that I work better under pressure. The time pressure of a deadline actually makes me more creative. But what I believe is actually happening is that I have set lower standards for myself than I actually have the potential to achieve. I have been procrastinating for so long that what I set out to achieve every single time is something that is achievable by a procrastinator, by somebody doing things at the absolute last moment. And if I could get over that belief, I would be able to achieve so much more. So if you're like me, if you tend to make these justifications and you tend to brag about how your procrastination is actually a good thing, quote unquote, then every time you have to put something off a little bit, every time you have to compromise on your vision because of a deadline, realize that that is a product of you procrastinating. And far from procrastination being an asset in this case, it was actually a hindrance. It caused you to compromise on your original vision or what you wanted to achieve. All right, big issue number 3 for me, which is the fact that some aspects of my work just aren't fulfilling and they aren't fun. And that also causes procrastination. And I think this may be one of the biggest problems for a lot of you guys out there as well. Some of your work just is not fun. You don't want to do it. Now, as I mentioned in the first video in this series, a lot of people are going to say, well, if that's the case, you need to drop your work and go follow your passion, man. Find work that you want to do that gets you out of bed in the morning. And the fact of the matter is that no matter what you're doing, there's always going to be aspects of your work that aren't fun. There's always going to be little tasks that you don't really want to do. So instead of focusing on those tasks and the fact that they aren't that fulfilling, I think that you need to focus on your identity. This is something that I think about a lot. Instead of telling myself that I really don't want to do this task and fixating on that, I fixate instead on the fact that I want to be known as a hardworking person. And like the author James Clear talks about in his excellent book, Atomic Habits, every action you take is essentially a vote for your identity. So when you fixate on your identity, it actually influences the actions you're going to take. It's kind of a two-way street. That leaves us with our fourth and final problem, which for me, I think is the biggest one, and it's the problem of perfectionism. One of the biggest reasons that I find it difficult to start my work is that I have this overarching belief that it has to be absolutely perfect from the start. And even though in past videos I have recommended getting in, making a mess, going with that terrible first draft idea, I have trouble actually doing this. Now, there are a lot of different reasons for perfectionism, and in fact, I've even done an entire video on perfectionism, which you may want to watch after this one. But for me, I think the biggest influence is the fact that my previous body of work has set certain expectations, or at least I believe that it has. The fact that for the past 4 years I've been putting out videos that have done well, that people have found useful, makes me feel like everything I put out in the future essentially has to be the be-all, end-all resource on that topic. It has to be supremely helpful. And this is honestly a pretty egocentric view, right? I'm just one person among billions on a speck floating through space. So every piece of work I put out can't be the most perfect thing ever. But there's this internal belief that it has to be. And you might have this problem as well. If you've gotten good grades in the past, or you've gotten a lot of great feedback from your boss, maybe you feel like everything you do going forward has to be absolutely perfect. And I want to stress that this perspective isn't completely useless, but it's an editor's perspective. And it's a terrible perspective to have when you go into the creation process at the start. When you're thinking like an editor, you can't create very well. When you're fixated on what other people are going to think and how your work is going to be judged, you can't be creative. You can't make that mess that's important for just getting things started. And at least for me, this relates very heavily back to my second problem, which was sort of bragging about procrastination, feeling like it was almost a superpower of mine, because it would cause me to delay the start of my work until right before the deadline, at which point, of course, there is no time to first make that mess and then go back and refine it later. So for me, at least, the solution here is twofold. Number one, let go of that perfectionist mindset, at least in the beginning of the process, so I can actually make that mess and get those thoughts out on that piece of paper. And number two, start work well in advance. Maybe even use mini deadlines to facilitate this. That way there actually is time for refinements. All right, so those are the 4 big issues that, at least for me, cause chronic procrastination. And hopefully you identified with at least one of those, along with my suggestions for how to start improving upon it. But in addition to those, I do want to give you one final suggestion, which I think is going to be universally helpful for anybody watching this video and struggling with procrastination. And it's to set up your environment in accordance with the 20-second rule. This is a concept from Sean Akers' book, The Happiness Advantage. And the gist of this concept is that you want to take anything that you want to do less often and increase the friction required to start doing it so that it takes more than 20 seconds to start doing. And of course, this 20-second figure is more illustrative than anything. It's not based on some scientific principle. So if something takes less than 20 seconds or more than 20 seconds, that's fine. But the basic idea here is you want to set up your environment so that it's more inconvenient to go play video games or to go check stats like I have a problem with doing. And so it's less inconvenient to start doing your work. And I think this is very important for anyone to keep in mind, but it's especially important for chronic procrastinators because you can aspire to embody the identity of a hardworking person. You can aspire to be less of a perfectionist. fast. But that doesn't happen overnight. No big change does. And when you're in the process of making a big change in your life, you need to set up systems that keep you on track, almost like training wheels. So install a website blocker on your computer, or disconnect the internet when you need to do your work, or make an entirely separate user account that has nothing but your work programs and websites available on it. Put your video games in inconvenient places. Basically, do whatever it takes to make procrastination as inconvenient as possible so you can start working on becoming less of a chronic procrastinator. Do that, and then start working in earnest on at least one of the issues we talked about in this video, and you will be well on your way to becoming the kind of person who does not put things off. Now, one thing that a lot of people tend to procrastinate on to their detriment is securing their online lives. Too many people I know use the same passwords across multiple accounts, they don't use two-factor authentication, and they do all kinds of other things that could open them up to potentially getting hacked or having their online accounts compromised. And as more and more of our livelihoods become dependent on online systems, you can't afford to be one of those procrastinators. Fortunately, one of the most important steps to becoming secure, which is having a strong, unique password on every site that you log into, is also one of the easiest if you use a tool like Dashlane. Dashlane is an incredibly well-designed password manager that gives you a streamlined way to secure your online life and make sure it's hardened against hackers, corporate data breaches, and online phishing scams. Their app, which you can use across all major platforms, including Windows, macOS, Android, and iOS, automatically generates strong and unique passwords for all of your online accounts. All this data is then stored in a secure user account that is protected by a patented security architecture, which encrypts all of your data and makes sure that you are the only person that can access it. And aside from offering you better security, Dashlane can also save you a ton of time as well, because once you have your user data in their account, it can automatically fill in login forms and even log you into most sites on the internet automatically. So if you want to start improving your online security today and start saving time as well, then head over to dashlane.com/collegeinfogeek, which you'll find in the description down below, and sign up. And if you'd like to save a bit of money on their premium subscription, which gets you extra features like a VPN and secure file storage, then use the code collegeinfogeek at checkout to get 10% off of that subscription. As always, I want to give a big thanks to Dashlane for sponsoring this video and being a big supporter of my channel, and thank you as well for watching. If you enjoyed this video, definitely give it a thumbs up and get subscribed right there so you don't miss out on new videos when they come out every single week. You can also click right there to get a free copy of my book on how to earn better grades, which may be useful to you since finals are definitely right around the corner. You can also follow me on Instagram at TomFrankly, or get one more video on this channel by clicking right there. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.